Are you sure you don't want me to come with you, Maria? I said I'm okay. Can you go to the company's interview by yourself? I know where it is. But today is the day of the long-awaited interview at the company I have been dreaming of working. Although I want to hurry to the interview venue, my mother, who came to see me off at the door, keeps asking me repeatedly. I am getting impatient with my mother, who keeps asking me over and over again. I said I'm okay. I've been there many times before. When I said that firmly, my mother finally stopped asking. That's right. We've been to that place together many times. You should be able to get there by yourself, shouldn't you? Yes, I've always admired it since long ago, and I had decided that I would definitely work here. Looking at me like that, my mother was nodding and tearing up. I guess it was worth raising you up. I've given you the support you needed, but from here on out, it's up to you to seize the opportunity with your own abilities. My mother said. I looked at the suit I was wearing. This suit is a sentimental one that my mother used to wear when she was young. She made it herself when my father passed away due to illness when I was young. After my father had passed away, my mother had to support my family financially, so she began job hunting because we had no money. She was reluctant to spend money on buying a suit for job interviews, so she bought the cheap materials and sewed the suit herself. With the suits she made, she worked tirelessly for me. I loved seeing my mother wearing the suit she had made herself while working. I begged her to lend me that suit because I wanted to become like my mother and repay her hard work. Thank you for lending it to me. I feel like I'm gaining some strength from it. Well, that's quite an exaggeration, isn't it? It's true, I'm not exaggerating. While I laughed and said that, my mother grabbed my shoulder with a serious expression. Okay, if someone bullies you, make sure you tell your mother. She will take care of that person for you. I couldn't help but chuckle in amazement at my mother's intense and imposing demeanor as she said those words. Enough already! It's time for you to let go of your child. My mother gets really anxious. Whether it was my first year in middle school or high school, she would always worry about something and tell me so. Well, I should get going soon, Mom. You're leaving for a business trip today, right? When I leave, you should leave soon too, okay? I said. Perhaps she had forgotten about it and she looked at her watch hurriedly. Oh no, it's already this late. I haven't prepared at all. What should I do? This is not the time to panic. Hurry up and prepare. Oh, okay. Well then, you go quickly too. Good luck. Bye. After she said it quickly while she was screaming, Oh my mother ran around the house frantically. Despite being a successful career woman, my mother's overly carefree and natural demeanor can sometimes be a problem. As I saw her like that, I let out a sigh. I'm off now. And finally, I left the house. I arrived safely at the company and waited in front of the interview room. Next person, please. I heard it through the door, so I checked my suit and took a deep breath, and then, Excuse me. I placed my hand on the doorknob and slowly pushed it open. Inside, there were two interviewers. One was an elderly man. The other person was a young woman. She was a breathtaking beauty who took one's breath away. Her face had sharp features and her hair, which reached down to her waist, was lustrous. Even the suit that she was wearing looked radiant, although I didn't say it aloud. Wow, she's so beautiful. I couldn't help but think that way. As I was thinking that, Can you hurry the hell up and come inside? I heard a cold voice from the woman. Yes. I answered reflexively and walked up to the chair in front of the interviewer. Did I mishear that? Just now. I thought I heard a cold voice from this beautiful interviewer. No, I must have misheard it. I cannot imagine a person who is supposed to be an interviewer using such inappropriate language. As I tried to reassure myself, the beautiful interviewer started talking. Name. Sorry? I said to tell me your fucking name. It wasn't just my imagination. The cold voice I heard earlier was indeed from this beautiful interviewer. Overwhelmed by the coldness in her voice, I hurriedly responded. My name is Maria. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to make this opportunity possible today. Nice to meet you. I introduced myself energetically and the male interviewer responded positively. Please, have a seat. Good. This male interviewer seems kind, unlike the beautiful female interviewer. I said, Excuse me, and I took a seat in the chair. The male interviewer then began speaking with a smile. I will be in charge of the interview today. My name is Gary. And just as Gary finished introducing himself, he glanced at the beautiful interviewer with an uncomfortable expression. Perhaps noticing his gaze, the beautiful interviewer furrowed her brows slightly. I'm Crystal. The name of this beautiful interviewer is Crystal, I said nervously. Nice to meet you. I greeted them. Perhaps she noticed my nervousness while Crystal looked at me. She laughed scornfully. Then she started staring at me intently. Hey, you are here for an interview, but do you even know what kind of company it is? Huh? Although I froze because of the unexpected question, I was able to answer with my adaptability. Yes, I understand that your company is one of the leading fashion enterprises in Canada. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that most of Canadian fashion trends originated from your company. When I answered like that, Crystal smiled. Oh, yeah. Although her mouth was smiling, her eyes weren't. I thought to myself, could it be? Am I being subjected to a pressure interview right now? However, when I looked at Gary, he seemed troubled, but he seemed unable to speak strongly to Crystal. Maybe that's why she was smirking at me and conducting this interview as she pleases? Hey, you know what our company is like, so how could you come dressed like that? What do you mean by dressed like that? Your suit. I mean, what's with that suit? Seriously? She pointed at the suit I was wearing, so I looked at my own suit. I wondered if there was any part of it that was wrinkled or out of place. I checked it again, but it didn't seem like there was anything strange about it. Is there something strange about it? When I timidly asked, Crystal burst out laughing. Ha ha ha! Seriously? You don't get it? First of all, what's up with the design of that button? This has the original logo engraved on it. It's so outdated. And look at the white ribbon on your chest. Do you think it makes you look cute? This comes as a set with this suit. No matter how I answered, she laughed as if she was mocking me, so I couldn't help but lower my head in front of her. Seeing me like that, Gary looked at Crystal with a troubled expression, probably feeling sorry for me. You might want to stop there. When Gary said in a trembling voice, Crystal glared at him. You shouldn't butt in when you are in a lower position than me. What? Isn't it actually Gary who has the higher position? And as I was surprised, Crystal turned her gaze back to me and then chuckled. Well, basically what I'm trying to say is... And with an exaggerated pause, she looked at me with a condescending gaze as if to mock me. I guess it's an outdated look that makes you out of place, haha. After saying that, Crystal laughed loudly. Well, that old-fashioned suit suits a plain-looking person like you, haha. When I heard the phrase outdated look that makes you look out of place, I thought to myself, oh, it's hopeless now. I thought that I had failed this interview. But that was not how I felt. I lifted my head, took a deep breath, and asked Crystal. Would you take back what you just said to me? Take back? Why? It's the truth, isn't it? When Crystal said that while laughing, I sighed deeply with disappointment. As Gary saw Crystal like that, he held his head in his hands as if he were in trouble. I see. That's too bad. As Gary seemed to know, I thought you would also know, Crystal. When I said that, Crystal's eyebrows twitched slightly. This suit... I took a deep breath, exhaled, composed myself, and then I started explaining. What? This was made by your company's president. When I answered, Crystal showed a bewildered expression. What? After remaining frozen for a while, she began to contort her face. Huh? What did you say? She was clearly shaken. As I was wondering what to do next, I heard the sound of a door opening behind me. When I turned around to see what the noise was, I was surprised to find my mother standing there. Oh, Mom, what are you doing here? I thought you went on a business trip. It didn't look like I could make it in time, so I canceled it. And I was worried about you, so I came to the office and eavesdropped in the adjacent reception room. I let out a big sigh of exasperation as my mother answered with a beaming smile. You can't do that. Weren't you supposed to have a meeting there? And didn't I tell you not to come along with me? Well, I asked the head of the personnel department and he let me use the reception room. Besides, I left it to Jason to take my place. No, don't abuse your authority. And just because he is the vice president, don't push everything onto Jason. He'll be troubled, you know? Oh, he went willingly, saying thank you for leaving it to me. Ugh! I didn't know what to say anymore and I was breathing hard. It seemed that Crystal did not fully understand the exchange between my mother and me. On the other hand, Gary stood up from his seat and greeted my mother. How are you, President? I'm doing okay. She smiled and waved at him. Then she turned to Crystal and smiled. However, her eyes weren't smiling. What's your name, Crystal? When my mother said to her, Crystal turned pale as if she was a completely different person from earlier. What did you say about the suit that my daughter is wearing? Oh, so she is your daughter. Even though you have the same last name, it's a common name, so I didn't realize it at all. She was clearly trying to avoid answering the question, but my mother asked her again, determined not to let her get away with it. Answer the question. What did you say about the suit that my daughter is wearing? After being asked twice, Crystal responded in a tiny voice while looking down. I said it looks outdated and out of place. She answered in a voice that you could hardly hear. Perhaps my mother was satisfied that Crystal finally answered and my mother nodded with a smile. As you seem unaware, let me, the founder and also president, explain about this suit. This suit has become a model for a series which are really popular these days. When Crystal heard that, she suddenly lifted her face. Yes, Crystal, it's what you're wearing right now. It's strange. Our employees should be able to recognize my daughter's suit right away. Yes, that's what I thought too. Gary knew exactly what suit I was wearing. This suit is entirely designed by me. The buttons engraved with the original logo are the precursor to the company's current logo, and the white ribbon worn with the suit was a trendsetter at the time. It seems you don't know anything about our company's history. Even though you may have a pretty face, it seems that your character is not suitable for a company. Wait, please, I didn't know, so could you please forgive me? Ignorance is not an acceptable response in our society. To avoid this, it's common sense for working adults to always study. Well, I'm not that evil, so even if you didn't know, I'll let you off the hook this time, but I hope you will study from now on. When my mother said this, Crystal's face lit up. Thank you very much. However, that expression disappeared in an instant. However, that's only if the thing you disparaged was just the suit. Sorry? Did you only criticize the suit or was there something else? When my mother said that, perhaps Crystal remembered something. Oh. She turned pale again. Mom, isn't it enough? I tried to stop my mother, but she looked clearly angry. Based on my past experiences, once she gets like this, she wouldn't stop. Did you say something about my daughter being ugly? How do you plan to explain that? That? Feeling sorry for Crystal, who had turned pale in front of the company president, I tried to stop my mother. Mom, it's okay. Besides, it's a fact that I'm ugly. When I tried to calm her down, It's not okay, she yelled. Crystal, you may not understand it yet because you're still young, but your own child is the most important and the most precious thing in the world. It's because they're so precious that you can continue to give them unconditional love no matter what difficulties you may face. I have continued to pour my love into this child no matter what hardships we may have faced. What parent would allow their precious child to be belittled and not stand up for them? Mom! That's right. In an environment where my father was absent, my mother always treated me with care and love. Therefore, she always used to say, Listen, if someone bullies you, make sure to tell me. I will punish that person for you. That's it, this is the moment. My mother is trying to punish her for me. I am filled with tears in my eyes due to my mother's deep love. My mother asked Crystal in a gentle voice, "Don't you think that your parents raised you feeling just the same?" When she was asked, Crystal seemed to recall their parents and showed a shocked expression. Then, as if she made up her mind, Crystal apologized while looking at my face. "I'm sorry." When she saw Crystal like that, she seemed to feel relieved and let out a sigh of relief. "I will forgive you if you accept a demotion and a transfer. Well, since it's only a demotion and a transfer from the head office, the treatment isn't too bad, is it?" It seemed that a demotion and a transfer from the head office were still difficult for Crystal to bear. "I understand," she answered with a depressed tone. "I'm going to transfer you to, let me see. Crystal, I'll make it your hometown." It seemed that she hadn't expected that. In front of the president, "What?" Crystal showed a surprised expression and my mother said to her with a gentle smile. Even her eyes were smiling this time. "Go back to your hometown and do something nice for your parents." When she saw the president's smile, perhaps Crystal felt relieved. She finally showed a genuine smile. Yes, thank you very much." In the end, the interview was cancelled that day and rescheduled for a later date. When I had an interview again, I was successfully hired by my mother's company based on my abilities. Finally, I was able to work at the company I had longed for years and asked my mother for a favor. "Mom, please treat me as a regular worker at the company, not as your daughter." "Of course. As the president who stands above everyone else, I can't show my parental side to everyone." I was relieved to hear her answer, but it only lasted for a short time. "But?" She tried to say something. "But what?" I felt a sense of dread and thought to myself, no way. Whether she knew about my feelings or not, my mother spoke up. "If someone bullies you, make sure to tell me. I will punish that person for you." It was my mother's usual line. I knew it. I was amazed. Then I also said the usual line to my mother. "Enough already. It's time for you to let go of your child."